Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here. Today we're going to look at some proofs of a young Earth. Now, what I mean by a young Earth, I'm talking 10,000 years or less. Now, I know our minds have been conditioned to think that's preposterous, but let's look at some proofs of this and try to answer these questions, because this isn't just, well, I've got 10 proofs of this and you've got 10 proofs of this. You've got to answer these things, because these are the very real things. The first is magnetic field depletion. Our magnetic fields in the north and the south, they have a half-life of 700 years. If the Earth was over 6,000 years old, the magnetic field on Earth would be so strong it could not support life. No type of animal life, no type of any, human, nothing, mammals, vertebrates, nothing like that, because of the magnetic field. The magnetic field plays so many vital roles in our world, keeps out certain harmful rays, this type thing. And so we know how the magnetic poles are decreasing. We know their half-life. If the world was over 6,000 years old, this could not occur. So you have to come up. You can't just ignore that. You have to say, okay, what would be an explanation for this particular phenomenon for the world to be millions and billions of years of age? The second thing is the sun depletion. The sun is being depleted at the rate of 5 feet per second. If the sun was over 100,000 years old or so, the Earth, it would have been far too close to the Earth for gravitation to keep the Earth in rotation. And even if that was possible, it would burn up the Earth. There would be no equilibrium of temperatures like there are perfectly now. So we know that the sun is shrinking. That is verifiable facts of science. So you have to explain how the world and the sun could have a relationship and have unison being 10 million, 100 million, 6.4 billion years. You just can't skip over these things. So you have to say, well, how did the sun and earth have a relationship during that time, if that is what you believe in time? Next would be genetic entropy. We know that there are certain negative mutative accretions that occur in our deoxyribonucleic acid, our DNA, from generation to generation. We understand that happens. And now, through understanding these non-beneficial mutations, which almost all mutations are non-beneficial unless they have an intelligent designer to guide that process, that genetic entropy would say, like human DNA, for example, could not last over 300 generations till the aberrational accretions of negative forces, negative mutations would accrue to the point in DNA that it would make it useless. So you have to say, okay, we're observing this happening now. We have the tools and the means to observe certain micro-mutations in a negative sense in DNA. We know if this happened over 300 generations that this would be a traumatic negative consequence to a ceasing of the ability of the species and multiplicity of species to procreate. So how do you explain that? Well, the easy explanation is there's only about 135 generations from Adam until now. So, and we can see these things happening in our midst. Now, some people say nutrition, blah, 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 but still, I know lifespans are somewhat increasing now through the intelligence that Daniel prophesied in Daniel 12:4. But look at pre-flood. Look at right after the flood. Look at the Sumerian flood list and what it had to say about the antiquity of ancient kings and their lifespan and that type of thing. Not only biblical records, but extra biblical records. So you have to explain that DNA accretion of mutations, genetic entropy. Next would be syntropy, and this would just be that everything we see is a closed system. Human being is a closed system. It is a rib cage, it is a heart, it is veins, it is capillaries, it is arteries, it is a brain that works in unison with the nervous system, a digestive system, digestive tract. It is eyes that work in harmony with all of these things. It is electrical impulses with a pancreas, a liver, a gallbladder, appendices, various other organs, kidneys, this type thing. These things partially done, a partial digestive tract, a partial kidney, a partial kidney system, urinary system, a partial procreative system on either side, a partial arterial system, a partial nervous system, a partial vertebraic system, a partial optic system is not of any value. It could not be accrued over millions of years because they're not beneficial. They don't work in part. Syntropy means everything is an organic whole. You can't say I've got a car and it's missing the engine. The car will not run. So it is, or I've got a half an engine. A car will not run till the engine is complete with all its components. So are human beings, so are animals, so are the procreation of animals and vertebrates. That it took a male reproductive system, a female reproductive system with a uterus and a womb and these type things. It took all of this working in perfect unison. So an eye couldn't develop over millions of years because it'd be a blob, and even according to evolution, survival of the fittest, if it doesn't benefit, it doesn't go forward. It doesn't move forward. So evolution is just this horrible, simplistic system that now has high-sounding words with a multi-billion-dollar educational system behind it. A giraffe sticks its head up every so often and then it just gets a long neck. But what about the other animals that were on the same plains, in the same area, eating the same food, that their necks never grew out? Why didn't their necks grow out? And it still doesn't explain syntropy, that it takes whole systems. I remember Whittaker Chamber, he left communism. He was looking at his 2-year-old, saw his ear and said that just couldn't have evolved. It's so intricate. The more you know about the human body and the intricacies of even the ear, and what it takes for sound, and for us to understand what the sounds are, and how the concave of the ear has to be perfect for sound, that you realize it has to be whole. It couldn't have been a quarter and then a few million years, and that's half, and so adding a few tenths of millions over the course of millions of years. It's not going to go forward. It's not, because it would not be beneficial till it's a whole system. So evolution would say it wouldn't go forward. So even evolution itself says that syntropy is something we observe. Next would be symbiosis. The symbiosis is basically the ecosystem. Humans require trees. Trees require humans. Humans require animals, herbs, trees to eat. Animals require certain things to survive, to eat. We need oxygen. The trees need carbon dioxide. Bees need flowers. Flowers need bees. That is replicated millions of times all around the world, that there is an ecosystem that is out there. And so man and woman, for procreation, have had to be created, fully done, at nearly the same time for there to be procreation. Trees, mankind, would have had to be created at very close to the same time. That's the reason the days of Genesis are not thousands of years or indeterminate amounts of years, for there to be the symbiosis that is needed. Bees and flowers would have to be created about the same time. Man and sheep, but sheep need men to lead them. All of these things. So just symbiosis requires a young earth. If you just look at things like the amount of river silt going into the ocean from various large rivers, we can determine how long this process has been going, and that the silt hasn't filled up the Gulf of Mexico, hasn't filled up various other large bodies of water, because it's only been going on a few thousand years. Next is Saturn's rings. Saturn's rings are constantly being bombarded with meteors. If Saturn was much over 10,000 years old, it would not have rings. So Saturn rings, another great proof of the young Earth. Lunar dust. We know that lunar dust is accumulating on the surface of the moon at a certain rate every day. And if the moon was in fact, millions of years old, there should be feet of lunar dust, but there is not. There's only 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Lunar recession is the same thing. We know that the moon is exiting the Earth's orbit by 1, 2, 3 inches every year. If the Earth was over 1 million years old, the moon would have been too close. It would have crashed into the Earth because of lunar recession. There's recession everywhere, even in the moon. But no, I'm just joking. But lunar recession is occurring. So this, and the Earth needs the moon for tides and for other things that it does. So they would have had to have been in approximately the same area for just a few thousand years, or it would not have worked. There could not have been that relationship between the moon and the Earth. Crater creep, which is basically that craters on the moon that over the course of time after impact, you've seen them, that they begin to fill up, that the dirt, the lunar dust begins to fill up. We know the rate of processes that happens. Some of the very large craters on the moon should have been almost full, because over the course of millions of years, just that over the course of time, dust would have just filled it up. They didn't. So crater creep, the creeping, infilling of lunar craters by the dust that was created during the time of the impact. So also population statistics. If you were to take the flood at 2348 BC with 8 people in Turkey, or thereabouts, somewhere in the ancient Near East, and do population statistics to 2016, accounting for wars, accounting for deaths, accounting for pestilences and other things, you would come up with population statistics very close to 7.6 billion people. If this, 40,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, there would not be enough room in our solar system for all of the people that have been born. You have to remember, there wasn't a such thing as birth control until 40 or 50 years ago. So these are all, there's many, 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 many more proofs of a young Earth. These are just a few for your consideration. I pray you'll consider these things. God bless you today.